Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with a new video. This is my mid-September? Yes. September reading wrap-up, where I talk about the first half of the books I read for the month of September. So, in the month of September, I participated in 2 read-alongs fairly successfully, I think. Definitely 30 and 30. I hit my goal that I have. Not to read 30 books, but to read 15 or 16. So prepared. 30 and 30 is a manga reading challenge hosted by Shade Geeks Out, co-host being Isabel at Happy for Now, and Ashley from Realm of Comics. And I'm basically continuing manga series that I've already started. I'm better prepared this month than I was back in April when the previous round for 30 and 30 happened. This month, however, there was a level up options for 30 and 30, and until I started filming this video, I didn't know if I hit any of those. So I'll explain what I got at the end. However, the other reading challenge, which I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to do this along with 30 and 30, but it was the Mystic Read Along. This was hosted by Nell Diamond. That's her name, that's the channel name. And basically it's based off of the Vampire Diaries, which I also watched the first 2 seasons of thanks to this challenge. I watched a majority of season 1 last month in August, and there was a watch along for the end of season 1, like the last 5 or 6 episodes of season 1, and then the entirety of season 2. So now I know what that's all about, though I kind of did anyway. A read-along had you decide which faction you wanted to be in. The options were vampires, humans, werewolves, or witches, and at the end of the day, at the last hour, I decided to join the werewolves, and we won. So there's that. Isn't that wonderful? Through various circumstances, shout out to our werewolf faction hosts, because y'all did it, okay? Y'all kept us going. We got extra points. Thanks to them knowing so much about Vampire Diaries. Anyway, there were level options for the Mystic Readathon again, and I pretty much just kept it at the easy level. So, that being said, as we go through, I will let you know what prompts each book fit for, and if they did in the Mystic Read-Along, and obviously all the manga fit for 30 and 30. It's just to read manga. But for the level up options for 30 and 30, I will also let you know. And at the end, I will show you the thing that I did for each one. I read a total of 19 books this month, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I'm also going to attempt to use some of the graphics for both readathons, and yeah. The first several books I read digitally. They were ebooks, starting with Sweet Vengeance. This is by Viano Onyomo, and book 1 in the Sweet Demons series. Now, this is an owned ebook that I have, and I'm very proud of myself, because this book started off me reading more of the only books that I've downloaded the past year or so. particularly on my Kindle. And this fit also, I didn't know it at the time, a Herculean prompt. I'll get into that in a second. But I downloaded this earlier this year or last year, I don't remember. I saw a thing about plus size female main characters, and it was romance books on sale in Kindle, and so this was one of the ones I was interested in and had downloaded, because I don't get to see very many plus size characters, point blank period, in any genre or any book, let alone romance. So yes, I gave this 4 stars. Joy is bisexual. I think Malachi is pansexual, so definitely enjoyed this. This is, like I said, set in Nigeria, so this hits Herculean prompt to read a book not from the US, Canada, or the UK. So you'll see this book mentioned there. This I didn't put down for any prompts for anything. So yeah, just a book I enjoyed reading. Next, I read the last 2 volumes of Boys Run the Riot, volumes 3 and 4. I have a whole vlog talking about the entire 4-book series because it fit a Herculean prompt to read a book that had a series that had 4 or more books in it. This is the one I picked. This has LGBTQIA+ rep, with our main character in particular being a trans boy, growing up in high school, coming out, trying to figure out how to deal with this identity they have, and telling the people in their life about it. It's also very much about fashion and not explaining yourself, but yeah, explaining yourself, expressing yourself through art, in particular fashion, but also some other styles. And I really appreciate how it explored that. Do check out the vlog. But for volume 3, I gave it 4.5 stars, and volume 4, I gave it 4 stars. These hit prompts for 30 and 30, obviously, but also I submitted these 2 volumes together for the Mystic Readathon, just as regular submissions. The next book I finished was The Dead Cattails Assassin. This is by P. Jelly Clark, and I read this for Herculean, the hardest reading challenge you ever do. This is to fit the August released book. I'm supposed to read a new release in the month it's released for every month of the challenge, and this was my August book. I've become a fan of P. Jelly Clark, and then I saw this book is coming out, and I requested. I was like, hopefully it comes in. I, for the most part, listened to the audiobook, but the physical book did wind up showing up, so I was like, okay, I'll hold it up here. Less editing for myself. I love this world. P. Jelly Clark, this is a short book. P. Jelly Clark is one of the few authors where I am happy and content with the story as short as it is. I was talking to some people on YouTube the other day about novellas. I don't love them, mostly because I always want more. I always want more, and that brings me down. It's like, you could have made this a novel length. I don't feel that way with P. Jelly Clark, like, I will so take more in this world, but I don't need it. Whereas a lot of shorter books do. So anyway, 5 stars for this. The Dead Cattail Assassins. They're not cats, and don't have tails. But they are dead. That's the tagline on it. We are following Evine the Eviscerator, and in this, I don't know, world where there are regular people, there are rulers or the nobility, and there are merchants, and there are assassins who are in these guilds, and they are dead. They, as members of these guilds, you know, they have guild leaders or whatever, but ultimately they answer to a goddess of assassins, if you will. And there are only 3 rules that they have to follow. And these are like unbreakable. They have to, once the contract that they sign to kill somebody, to assassinate someone, must be just. The second is that they may only kill the person who is contracted, and they must kill the person who's contracted. Once you accept the job, that's it, right? That's the 3rd rule. So what happens when Evine comes across her latest contract? She makes it in, and she sees the girl's face and recognizes her. What happens then? What does she do then? And the thing is, when they're resurrected, their pasts are erased. Like, they have no memories of their life before they died and were resurrected. So how does she recognize someone? Who is this person? Who ordered this contract for Evine to kill this person? And where do we go from there? And the backdrop, there's some history about how Evine got the tag name of being the Eviscerator. There's some cool fight scenes. I love all the characters in this. The world is really interesting from a visual standpoint. I love this. I love this. Also, like, this is a beautiful ass cover. I would totally read this again. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars because how could I not? The twist, especially towards the end, I was on the bus listening like, y'all gotta be kidding me. And several clever characters, including Evine, and there's a comment on here from Victor Laval. It says, P. Jelly Clark couldn't write a bad book if he tried. And I have to agree, because this is amazing. The audiobook was 7 hours and 22 minutes. The physical book is 213 pages, you guys. That's it. This fits several prompts in the Mystic Readathon. So let me see. First, the werewolf prompt for read a book with a black cover. Also, read a book with a BIPOC author. That was a community prompt, one of the basic ones. P. Jelly Clark is a black man. Read a book with a black or indigenous character. Pretty much everybody in this is black, but not everyone. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. Do check it out. This also covers the Rainbow Challenge for a book with a black cover. Read it. Oh my god, I love that. the next two volumes of manga I read were from My Love Mix-Up series. This is volume 4 and 5. I've been slowly reading this and I realized I don't need to. It's sweet and there's only 9 volumes. Let me like pick up the pace. So I picked up these 2 volumes. These are by Aruko and Wataru Hinekure. Hey, 2 more volumes for the manga. 30 and 30 manga challenge. I gave volume 4 5 stars and volume 5 5 stars. I loved both of these. I wasn't expecting to enjoy them as much. It's a sweet, I guess YA, but like teenage romance situation. It's kind of ridiculous, but I feel like in these 2 volumes, it's gotten a little bit more serious as we're like, as our guys are starting to realize, you know, relationships matter to them, whether we're talking about romantic relationships or friendships. And so the basic premise from volume 1 is ridiculous. But it could happen. It could happen. We've got a young man who has had a crush on his classmate for a while, and he finds out after borrowing an eraser from her that she has a crush on another guy in their class. So he finds this out because on her eraser is carved the letters IDA, and there's a kid in her class, Ida. Then, because he sits next to Ida sees the eraser and is like, "Do you like me?" And it goes from there. Then later on, he finds out Aoki is the first kid who has a crush on Hashimoto, the girl. Come to find out, while talking to Hashimoto, who he is friends with, it's been a secret crush he's had on her, that she's not in love with Ida. Has a crush on Aida, AIDA. So part of her eraser had been used, so the first A was gone. And now Aoki's like, no, I don't like you, Ida. But then after looking at Ida and how he goes about the life at school, it's like, maybe I do like Ida. And so this is mostly a boy love, but we in the background have Hashimoto and Aida and their relationship growth over time. I will say it's also ridiculous because Aoki is a very high anxiety person, and so he's an overthinker, and they're teenagers, so it's gonna be a little bit dramatic. But in this sense, it's that Aoki is always thinking that people see the worst in him, so he says something and then takes it back because it's like, well, that sounded stupid, or they think this negatively about me, and then the other person hasn't had a chance to like fully process what he said. Especially Ida, who is like the opposite. He's more chill, and it takes him a while to come to personal conclusion. This stays cute, very sweet, like all of the whole crush thing. And with these 2 volumes in 4, Aoki continues to be high strung. It's dramatic. But I think Ida's starting to like it. He's starting to understand Aoki more, and Aoki is realizing that he has to communicate. He has to let Ida have time to communicate back. He can't just assume things. Aida and Hashimoto, on the other hand, we'll see, right? With volume 5 continues that deeper exploration, starting to understand each other more and leave space for each other's thoughts in both relationships. So I appreciated it. I submitted both volumes for the Mystic Readathon to get 200 pages. And that's 2 more manga for the 30 and 30. The next manga I read also digitally, that was The King's Beast Volume 2. Now, I picked this up, and honestly, the last 2, because the other manga that I had requested hadn't gotten there yet, and I was like, I could just read digitally, and these are not from my manga bracket, so I'm not cheating or getting ahead of myself. I know. It's ridiculous, but whatever. That was my thought process. The King's Beast Volume 2. I read Volume 1 for my try-a-volume, like, 2 years ago manga, and that's how I then picked which series I would read for or add to the manga bracket. And I wasn't very impressed with Volume 1, but I once again saw that people were recommending this mangaka Readathon, and I was like, okay, let me give it another chance. I have since realized for manga, me personally, and I would recommend this for anyone, you need to read the first 3 volumes. Manga is so short. I think the first 3 volumes kind of counts more like reading the first book of a series and then deciding. Because, like, reading 1 volume feels like reading, the first 30 pages, or maybe 50 pages, and you're like, well, I don't know. That's not enough. We've got betrayal and whatnot. This is a fantasy, kind of paranormal, probably eventually romance. Also, manga series where we're following Rangetsu, who is kind of like a changeling. She pretends to be a boy so that she can become the personal changeling for one of the princes of the empire, because her brother was picked to be in this position and then mysteriously died shortly thereafter. So Rangetsu is bent on revenge. Little does she know that Prince Tenyu also is trying to figure out what happened to her brother. All of these changeling beings have magical powers as well. There are other princes, and obviously the emperor, their father, and other changelings. So it's trying to figure out who killed the brother. I gave the first volume 3.5 stars. It felt meh. It felt very over dramatic. Like, we hadn't been with these characters long enough for their emotions to be very believable. I did like this volume better because now we're spending a little more time seeing the beliefs, the values, all of that stuff of our characters. And that in particular, as Rangetsu tries to figure out who killed her brother. Not much more happened as far as that mystery goes, but we learn more about, like I said, Rangetsu's values and some of the reasons why some of the princes and their companions act the way they do. Still 3.5 stars, to be perfectly honest. I submitted this for the Mystic Read Along with another volume of another manga, not in the same series, because remember, I have to put 2 in together. Okay, so the next book I finished was Into the Bright Open by Cherie de Malin. This is the remix classic, a remix of The Secret Garden, which I read last month. So yeah, this was the August book for the remix classics read along I was doing. There's a whole reading vlog about this and The Secret Garden specifically for that, so go check out that video for details. I will say that there's some LGBTQA plus rep in this, and it is set in Canada, and instead of India and England, and so the land, the garden, all of that stuff is different. And also, instead of Indian characters and people from the Moors, we have indigenous Canadian peoples, and that was really interesting. So there's indigenous rep in here as well. This I gave 3.5 stars. Again, if you want more details, go check out that other reading vlog. Next, the volume I submitted with The King's Beast, Volume 2 for the Mystic Readathon, was Volume 7 of the Apothecary Diaries. This manga series I am making my way through because I am enjoying it. I gave this volume 3 stars. It was a little all over the place, personally. Seemed kind of fillery. The Apothecary Diaries, I actually read volumes 8 and 9 of after that, so I submitted these two as well for Mystic Readathon on their own. The Apothecary Diaries is a series where we're following Mao Mao, that's her, who was raised by an apothecary, a poor one who worked in the courtesans, and she gets kidnapped to work in the inner court of the emperor and as a maid, and happened to, through her own apothecary knowledge, figure out that one of the emperor's concubines was being poisoned, and one of his eunuchs figured out that she figured it out, tracked her down, and moved her up to be a lady in waiting to one of the concubines. So now she's in the inner court, also helping Jinshi, this inner court minister eunuch, figure out certain mysteries and crimes. Many that have come out to be related, and it's starting to seem like this is all part of a bigger scheme by someone or someone's. So it's very interesting. The court intrigue is keeping me there. Obviously the apothecary stuff, I love plants, I love the whole like making things apothecary, plants and natural things for health and wellness, skincare, spiritual stuff. Like, that's my whole thing personally in real life. Scarlet Moon Creations, my Etsy shop. Check it out. It links in the description with a 10% off discount code. But also there's some humor here. Mao Mao seems completely oblivious when men actually like her. The somewhat prejudiced way she views men and their sexual urges, or when they like any of the concubines, or especially the courtesans, Like, she has a total disdain of them. And she also has this weird thing about liking poisons, like, to ingest them. So, yeah. Um, this is like a historical mystery manga series to check out. That's the last of the books I'm going to talk about in this video because that was a lot. To recap, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 volumes of manga read at this point, and I've... Oh, did I put... I forgot to mention, Into the Bright Open also fits to read a book with a Black and or Indigenous character. There are several in here. So that's for the Mystic Readathon. Yeah, guys. So I might have submitted Sweet Vengeance for a book with a Black main character, but I don't remember. I didn't have a track or anything, and we couldn't see the whole spreadsheet. Yeah, the September wrap up. I'll tell you the rest of the books I read, and definitely go and try to be more active about hitting more prompts for the readathon. But yeah, guys, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you are new, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming. Links in the description to everything I've mentioned, like the readathons, and there's links to my Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me anywhere else. Also, links to my Storygraph, which I've been mentioning, and my Goodreads, which is kind of iffy at this point. But should have all of these. My Goodreads, if you'd like to friend me on those and see what I read when I read it, instead of a month later. And there is a 10% off discount code to my Etsy shop where I make all natural bath and body products for magical and mundane purposes. I also offer tarot and oracle card readings if you would like. But that is it for me today, guys. Thank you as always so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.